Hi, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody to the Business of Show, where we interview industry professionals like this guy on the art and business of television and entertainment. The Business of Show, as you guys know, explores the practical issues, components, and practices of working in theater, television, and films by interviewing the artists who occupy those worlds. If it feels a little bit like a James Lipton ripoff, it is. The brilliant Champ Kind from Anchorman, Saturday Night Live, the great Todd Packer from The Office, regular appearances on Justified, The Middle, Hannah Montana. Yeah, baby. Monk, the Comebacks, Reno 911, Austin Powers, Wag the Dog, stand-up comedy tours, and his own NBC variety series in the works right now. Our very special guest tonight is the hardest working man in the entertainment business and one of the nicest too. Please say hello to David Koechner.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That's it. Just a little bit more rules before I get to David for you guys. As you guys know, the Business of Show is informal and we're pretty free form here. If we got to stop, we're going to stop. But after I run out of words, we are going to be coming to you, our studio and newly paroled audience, for questions for our guests. So please prepare something in a recognizable language. And I'll warn you, I think we've got a microphone here somewhere that Stephanie will be passing around or we'll get to you. After the Q&A, it's pie fighting time. Dave, I also want to warn you that we periodically use a random question generator for each episode of Business of Show. So some of the questions are trickier than others. You have been warned.
Fantastic, but there will be no math, right?
No math. A quiz at the end. Is there math? No, I don't think so. So David, movies, TV, internet series, stand-up comedy, show development, swimsuit modeling. You...
Lesser known.
Yeah, you are one busy man, Mr. K. We understand you're in development for a variety show right now.
Yes.
Can you share with our audience, what are you working on?
Sure. I met with a guy named Paul Telegdi, who is on the, they call it the alternative side of NBC. And another gentleman had, I'd worked with him on an internet series before, and then I just spoke to this other class. Then he got a deal at NBC.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, why don't you meet with Paul? He wants a variety show. Now, I had just finished Anchorman. We were starting the tour, and so I met with him, and so it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
That's a great movie.
I'm just telling you that as a matter of course where the positioning for all these things works.
Yeah.
Because a year before, they wouldn't have called me in, right? So, big movie. Maybe there's this guy. Let's see if he's got an idea. I didn't really have a passion to do a variety show, but I was working on something else with a good friend of mine. I'll get to that story. So I knew that he wanted a variety show. And so we were just going to sit down and talk in the macro version. And when I sat down with him, he said, this isn't an audition. I said, I know. We're just going to talk macro. So before I went there, I did some preparation and thought to myself of what I knew of variety shows. From Jackie Gleason to Mac Davis to Donnie and Marie to Sonny and Cher to Flip Wilson to Carol Burnett to SNL and all those other things. And I've worked in a lot of different mediums, and I have been touring doing stand-up, which has been an added value to me personally. I just did a web series the year before, another added value. So we talked in all this version, and I knew that he was looking for an updated version of the Carol Burnett show.
No kidding.
Yeah. I'd been given a little inside information. So we talked about all these different variety shows, and I said, but what would Carol Burnett be doing today? And we talked about, for me it's important to understand how people are digesting media, because that's important. And I talked to this other class earlier. Key and Peele have had 500 million streaming views between YouTube, Hulu, Vaguru, all these other sites that I can't even reference, and from their own Comedy Central site. In fact, they get more views there than they do on their own television show. So it's important to know that you have to digest your material on a phone, a computer, and a television. So you try to make it work for all of those venues, right? So we talked about that. Now, he also told me what he wanted. He wanted a show that would be on 8 o'clock and be for the whole family. So I said, let's do our Patty Chayefsky. And I don't know if you know this, but Patty Chayefsky is a writer. You guys familiar with that? Wrote Network. Okay? You'll look it up later.
Nod your heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what he said you do as a writer is you write a theme and you put it on a typewriter. Now, a typewriter is an instrument.
Good luck.
He said you put your theme right there. What's the theme of your movie or play, whatever it is you're doing? And everything you write has to match this theme. Otherwise, where are you, right? It's got to match this thing. whatever your theme is, man versus woman, or man versus wild, or man versus X institution, blah, blah, blah. It should all match there. So we decided, said, let's come up with our Chayefsky of what this show is going to be. He said he wanted it inclusive, all right? Now, the reason he sat down with me, because he felt like, for instance, a movie like Anchorman is pretty inclusive. Now, when I go to an airport, I oftentimes will meet 3 generations of people that are all fans of the film, which is pretty rare. You'll have a guy that's the grandfather, the dad, and the son, and they're all fans of the movie. Now, that's not for nothing, because what do you got? You've got a thing that's kind of like cotton candy. You think it's a big, dumb, broad comedy, right? But really, at the core of this thing, it's a very, very smart, articulate satire. And if you can have both of those things, you can get everybody in the family possibly, right? So we wanted to be inclusive. It's got to be something that everybody in the family can enjoy together, all right? He said he wanted to be aspirational. So we wanted to have some drive, a thrust, a push, where it's not just something you've already seen before, but maybe it's a little different. Maybe it's a little inspiring. So aspirational and dynamic, right? Because you have to have dynamics in television, because there's so much things for people to look at these days. It has to have all those qualities. So I said, okay, let's write that down. I said, young lady, that is his assistant, and it was a lady, so I'm not being sexist here. I said, make sure you write that down. I didn't know at the time that wasn't his assistant, it was another executive. So shame on me. But she was the one taking notes. So not necessarily a mistake on my part.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we were talking about all these things. I said, but here's the thing. I'm out right now with my friend and partner, Jerry Collins. He and I were out developing a satire of Duck Dynasty. And I say satire, again, because it's not a parody. A parody is a thing that's just making fun of it. A satire is something that's trying to find a deeper meaning of the reason that people are watching this thing that is so fucking stupid, it's unbelievable. Right? So we'd put together this thing that was more like Duck Dynasty meets King Lear. Okay?
Nice.
And I mean
sure.
So there was going to be this whole almost Game of Thrones things going on inside this hillbilly culture piece.
Yeah.
My character has a 4.5-foot beard. And I pitched this thing to him in the room, and he said, don't sell that. And we'd already sold it twice. We'd already sold it to 2 outlets.
At least.
We had people that said, yeah, we'd like this show.
Yeah.
And it was going to be, like I talked to some of these guys earlier, Yahoo did a series called Burning Love. And the reason I did this, because if I did this shorter show, I get to control it.
Yeah.
Jerry and I are going to write it, we're going to cast it, we're going to star in it, we're going to direct it, we're going to do all of it. We're not going to get notes from anybody else. We're going to get a pot of money, and we can decide how we want to spend our money. We'll say we're going to take this much money out of this thing, we'll use the rest for production, and off we go. We'll be done by the end of January, mid-March. Good start to the year, right? And we'd already sold it. We had 2 people going to bid on the thing. He said, don't sell it. I said, take me off the market. He goes, okay. The next day, they called my manager.
Nice.
So that's how that started.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Anchorman from a theoretical point of view, kind of a compositional point of view. The thing that struck me about this, when you say variety, I'm always struck at how many different types of elements you and Adam and those guys put into stuff like that, because there's animation in it, there's music in it. I mean, the songs, you know, alone are just so wonderful. And
in the new movie, I don't know if you haven't seen the extended version yet, but there's a beautiful musical in this thing that wasn't in the original picture that is worth either a rental or buy the disc, available now on DVD. But it is worth it. It's a huge musical number.
Fabulous.
It's really good.
Hey, by the way, David is at Park West tomorrow night. What time are you?
7:30.
7:30. So if you want more autographs and stuff, get over to Park West tomorrow night.
Yeah, mostly for the autographs, not the entertainment.
Yeah, that's it. Now, you about your show, you're in development now.
Yeah.
And you shot some materials.
Yep.
How you're executive producing in addition to starring.
Yeah.
How much direct responsibility, how much direct input, I'm assuming a lot, do you have in the writing? Is it
All of
everything?
it. Everything.
It's all going
Yeah.
So you're head writing as well, effectively.
No, Jerry's head writing.
Okay.
He and I came up with a lot of the inspired
Concepts.
innovations and concepts for the thing, and then we hired Kevin Dorff.
And
because Kevin and I we used to be mistaken as brothers.
Yeah.
But he's known me. I've known him for 25 years. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And then a friend of Jerry's, Scott Wainio, who goes back to the Groundlings and SNL, and these guys. So Dorff wrote on Conan for years.
Yeah.
And he just finished doing review, and so he and I have collaborated for years. And Wainio wrote on SNL and a bunch of other stuff, and he knew Jerry from way back. So, and we didn't have a budget for a big writing staff, so that was the other thing. And what we decided to do was, for our show, and we hope it works, we never know, but you've got to keep it moving quickly, and I wasn't going to do the old school variety show. I'm not going to have singing and dancing. and varietal acts. It just doesn't play these days. So we have an hour's worth of real estate.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're doing an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And so that's in 6 acts. The
Yeah.
first act is 13 minutes. That's your longest act. The other ones are 6s and 5s throughout the whole thing. Now, our first act is going to have 8 pieces. It's going to boogie.
Yeah.
Because you've got to grab people. And the variety we're going to have on our show is different types of scenes.
Yeah.
So one's going to be a little high energy, one's going to be a little smaller, one's going to be broad, then you go back to small, then you're going to have maybe a 3-minute piece, a 2-minute piece, a 30-second piece, a 4-minute piece, and then something else.
Are you going to call stuff back as well,
Yeah.
do you think? You
Yeah.
know, recurring characters in
Yep.
the show and then
Yep.
beyond the show as
Yep,
well?
exactly.
Oh, it's wonderful. So you're doing a Herald.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
It's true.
Dorf is
Yeah, the best.
He is and he is your little brother. He
Yeah.
always has been
Yeah.
as well. So what's your typical day like now? Production day, we're
Now?
asking. Yeah, you guys want to know production as well as creative, right? Raise your hands if you want to know production. So what's a production day like for you? I mean, where are you?
Well, I start at, if I can get up by 5:30, I'm very happy. That way I can get a workout in.
Before the kids wake up.
Well, then I get the kids up at 6:30. We have 5 kids. So get them up, get them going
That
to school.
he knows of.
Yeah.
His wife, I swear Lee is holding 2 out that he doesn't know
Yeah,
about. That,
maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
And drop them at school. Then I go straight to work so I can get some emails taken care of. And then we have the writers come at about 9:30. Now, the way that...
Wait, I got to
Yeah.
stop you there. Writers at 9:30, okay?
Well-
so you people who say that writing class at 9 o'clock is insane, see, writers have to show up too
Oh,
sometimes.
it should start earlier, but this... But you're in Los Angeles, you got to navigate a lot of things.
That's
so
right.
it's a sane time to start.
Yeah,
So if you go back to the beginning of the stage of the thing, it's the idea stage. And you're just coming with ideas and you put cards on the bulletin board that might be fertile. And if everyone's kind of seeing it, then we know we've got something. So you're coming with all kinds of different ideas. And for me personally, we had a bunch of themes we wanted to make sure we put in there because we got what? Inclusive, aspirational, dynamic.
sure.
So everything we write has to be acceptable for 8 o'clock for the whole family. But for me personally, it also has to be a little bit innovative and a little bit subversive, just a tiny
Yeah.
bit, so I can still have a soul.
an angle.
An angle, right.
Yeah.
So the first stage is all ideas and start to write, and then we had to pitch those ideas to the network. Here's how we see our show.
Yeah.
These 8 pieces in the first 13, then 3, then the kind of ideas. Then we gave them idea of what the content was going to be, and they loved that. So now it's like, okay, go write this show. Then you hire people. Now that's where it gets
Right.
another, when you're in charge and you're executive producer, you are wearing so many hats, and it's like you have to have 8 arms to keep going all day long. I mean, Paige, it works for me in the office, and she could tell you, I don't even know what I'm doing next. I just have to yell at Paige and go, Paige,
Right.
what am I doing now? So I'll have meetings like now. So now we're deep into production. So we've done most of the writing. And the next thing is we have to have a line producer and what they call a showrunner, who's an organizer, who basically helps get the equipment and know where we're going to shoot and get the locations, get the camera crews, then bring in candidates for directors, candidates for DPs, hires PAs, and then he also hires the line producer who also does some of that. Then you also have a segment producer who helps produce each little segment, because our pieces are 4 minutes long, usually at the most, and some are 30 seconds long, but still, that's a whole production you have to do. You still have to have X number of cameras, you have to have your grips and gaffers, you've got to have electric, you've got to have sound, so it's everything. So somebody has to do all that hiring. I'm not going to do that. That's those people's jobs. And I'd said earlier, those people all come under the guise of producer, right? And they have various jobs as a producer. And then the day is, for instance, let's take Tuesday. Wednesday? I left Wednesday.
Good luck, buddy.
That morning, we had an actress come in. She has to do a fitting. So she has a series of outfits she puts on. Then Jerry and I have to decide, yes, I like that. No, I don't like that. A little bit less than that. What do you think about that? Okay, great. That's fine. Then she comes back with another outfit and another outfit. Now, we're in the writer's room at the same time having to redo some scripts and think about some editing we did. We went over to editing first that morning to work with the editors, because it's really hard for someone to read your mind. Like, here's how I see this, because I have to help them understand the aesthetic that I'm going for.
Right.
It's not just about shooting it, it's my personal aesthetic that I'm putting on this show. That's the only way I know how to make it work. And this is what personally I want to put out there. You can't just shoot and go, you guys fix
But
it
it's
later.
your name on the line,
It's
too.
the name, plus, it's what I want. And this,
Right.
like, the only way it succeeds is if it comes the way I saw it in my head to begin with.
Right.
So it takes an army of people to put it together, but they all have to be keyed into the aesthetic. And that's another issue. Like, I've learned, like, oh, you need to get them to see it from your point of view, not just theirs. Because a lot of these people have been working there for a long time. They just have a job on the lot. They don't give a shit about what I want. They just have a job like, I'll plug it in here. And I don't have to tell them how to plug it in, but even just the way something is shot makes a difference. What angle, why, where? Why are you putting the camera there? How is that helping tell the story? Do you want this in a 2? Where's my single? I don't have enough singles. You learn that sometimes later. You're like, fuck, we didn't get any. Why didn't he get any singles? So you find out, you have to also really hammer at each department. You got to decide, I'm in charge, so this has to go my way. So
listen, this is a lecture of mine all the time, and I just want to hit you guys again. If you think you're going to be a producer, and I'm not going to worry about writing, or if you think I'm going to be a director and I don't need to worry, here's a guy right now who's going to tell you he has experience in every facet of it, and you have to have experience in it, because there will come a day when somebody says, hey, you get and operate, or you. Does that make sense?
Right.
So this is your operating example right now.
Well, I told the other class, be the person that everybody wants to hire for whatever reason, for whatever you do. You're the person, like, if I hire this person, I know 5 fires are put out a day and I don't have to worry about it. If you're that person, you're always going to work. If you're the person that solves problems right now and you know how to read someone's mind, then you're going to always work. You're going to be the person like, I need that person always with me. There's a couple of guys I worked with who were, we shot some videos, and they're just really hard worker, they're industrious, and they solve problems. This guy didn't have it, wasn't working in a job. I just hired to make sure, like, we had to lose one editor because he just wasn't getting it. And so I said, well, I want to hire Joe. And so Joe got the job because I'd worked with him before, and he's industrious, he's good, and he never quits. And he can understand your aesthetic. He knows that's part of his job. To digest, to decipher what you are giving him.
Nod your head if you understand. Oh, I love that. Okay, first, this is the random question generator. This is the first random question. Your post-up moves are legendary, but do you work a lot on your outside shooting as well?
You have to work on everything.
You do?
Yeah.
A crossover dribble?
Yeah.
Your inbound passing?
Here's what I say. When I've had even, I recently had an actor who is a friend of a friend, and he had an audition. And he said, how do you, do you have any advice? And this guy was already a working actor, but he was in a rut. He's like, how do you, is there something I can do? Because everybody wants a trick. There's no shortcut. Do you guys know who Floyd Mayweather is? Okay. Ladies, you might be less familiar, and I know it sounds sexist, but it's just just an actual thing. He's a boxer, but on HBO, they got this thing, Mayweather 24/7. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. This young lady's a big, so.
You fought Mayweather, didn't you? You fought him, I think.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Now you get it.
Now I'm going to ask you to please leave the room for that exact reason.
Are you a Mayweather?
No. What was your observation going to be?
What do you mean?
I thought you said.
No, I was just going to say the fight with Bradley and Pacquiao is this weekend, so that's why I'm really pumped about it.
Well, my point is
Dave
this.
will be there.
My point is this. I've never seen anyone train so hard. Mayweather. This guy trains, he gets up at 4 or 5, he runs, he does all his work, he trains and trains and trains and trains and trains and trains, and that's why he's the best in the world. Some have called him the best of all time. So, anyone who's the best at anything you admire works harder than anyone you know. Do you think anyone outworks Michael Jordan? Or Kobe Bryant? Or LeBron James? That's why they're the best. They do it harder than anybody else. They do it longer. They don't do it until they've got it. They pound it into dust, whatever it takes. You know it inside and out. If you anytime I don't get something, it's because I didn't train enough. I didn't do it enough. It's my fault. It's not someone else's fault. So anyone who got it deserved it because they worked harder. Now, if it's a commercial, it's a different thing. That's usually just a look. You look like you might be part African American, Latino, and Asian, and that's what you're going to see is a mix, right? And that's a perfect demographic to be right now. So, if you want to intermarry and have your kids be actors, that's probably a great thing for diversity. Intermarry, I said, Jesus Christ. But here's what I believe on that point. I actually think it should be illegal for you to marry within your own race for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Until we get a beautiful caramel color we can all agree on.
That's
And then one day, my descendants can get a tan.
It's not going to happen, buddy.
It's really selfish. So the thing is, it really is all about the preparation.
Yeah, yeah.
The more you prepare, the better chance you're going to have to win. I told the other class before, there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. It's basically breaking down the 10,000 hours theory of why people succeed. Read that book.
Yeah.
And then do it. 10,000 hours.
Well, we're going to go into a little bit of your past now, because I think that leads you into your work ethic as well. So, first, what was it like growing up in Tipton?
In Tipton?
Yeah.
I was not very excited.
No.
It's a very small
town?
2,000 people.
Yeah.
It now has 3,500 people.
Woo!
I know. It got a growth spurt. And I said to my dad, that happened after the 2000 census. I'm like, Dad, what? Tipton gained 1,500 people. My entire life. Intermarriages.
Like, wow.
Yeah, Baptists and Catholics started marrying. He said, Dave, they moved the city limits to include the prison.
Did
And that's
they really?
true. They did.
Hey, bigger tax base.
Exactly.
You know, there, you're done.
Federal dollars are allocated on head count.
So you had, what was your high school? I mean, how many?
I'm from a very small town,
Yeah.
and so my father was a manufacturer.
Yeah.
I went to work for my father when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
My dad went to work for his dad when he was 4. So that's just the way my family works, right? Now my kids don't work yet, except for their chore charts.
Knock wood.
Yeah. But so it's that's kind of a work ethic. Like so, to me, I will never ever be out of a job.
Yeah.
It's
You can't be.
It's inconceivable to me. It's just not possible.
You're one of 6? Is
One
that
of
right?
6 kids,
And where are you in the group?
I'm the third.
Yeah.
So,
you
loudmouth,
got
look
out.
at me.
Yeah.
I was a C student. I regret it. I was a C student all my life. I wouldn't crack a book. I'd still get a C. Great. That's all I have to do. I took my 6th grade Iowa basics, and my mom said, "You've been sandbagging. You're a lot brighter than you let on."
Yeah.
Anyway, so I grew up there. I'm not exposed to media. We have 3 channels.
Yeah.
3 televisions.
Back in the day?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
We wouldn't get cable because there's racy things on cable. Can't have that. So then 1 high school. That's all you could go to. That's that. Not a dynamic high school.
And how many students in your class?
In my class, we graduated 68. And
Wow.
it was not a private school.
I have lectures that have more students than that.
Yes.
Pretty sure.
So I'm from a small town, not a lot of exposure.
But a good work ethic and a solid, you got up and you worked. And
Well, I believe you can decide what you want in life. I always knew I was going to go to college. And then when I decided I was going to be an actor, it never occurred to me that I wouldn't be successful at it. So you just make that decision and you don't back down from it. So whatever you decide you're going to do, you go do it. Now, if you never get any positive feedback in your chosen career, at some point you might want to think about that. Brian Stack was the nicest man in the world.
He is. Great writer.
Works on Conan. He said something once, and because when you move out to LA, sometimes you start seeing people coming out to LA from Chicago, and you're like, so-and-so moved out here, really? Wow. And it was a person that maybe never even got on a Herald team or never got a job anywhere.
But they're out there.
And Brian said something like, I've always been puzzled by people who continue to do this without any encouragement whatsoever. So nice, but it's true. It's if no one's ever complimenting you in your chosen field, you might want to reconsider it.
Now, I have 2 things with David that he doesn't remember, but one is when David and I first met, I think I was teaching you before.
Yes, you were one of my teachers in and then
I hired you into not Tourco, but into
business.
Bizco first, and then Tourco, right? But David was in class, and it was about 6 classes in, and he was David. He was really hustling, working hard. And we had a chat after a class. He doesn't remember this, but I said to him, how far are you going to go? How far are you going to go? And he said, the minimum is SNL. That's where I'm going to start. And I'm like, that's what I want to hear from a student. And I remember when you got on SNL, I remember saying to my wife, see, he did it. He did it. Okay, but now the other part, though, you attended Benedictine College.
Yeah, I was a poli-sci major.
And University of Missouri. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Yeah.
But Benedictine is not an easy school.
Well,
and you say you're a C student, but you had to have some chops to do that.
Or connections.
Or both.
I did well on my ACT.
Yeah. But see, you say you're a C student, but you
no, that's because
you were absorbing more than...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was coming in, but I wasn't, I wasn't applying myself. And I do regret that. And the same for college. But part of it was probably because I was out of my real passionate
Yes, right.
course.
And you knew even
Yeah,
then.
and I had to go to Benedictine College because my parents said I could only go to one college. It's a Catholic college just across the border in Kansas, and my uncle was the abbot of the monastery there. My family's very Catholic. My mother's family.
Here's the question: did you ever consider becoming a monk?
No.
That was exactly the question.
My mother would have loved it. She's from a family of 11 children. There are
Only 11.
Four of them are in the religious. So out of that 11, there were 2 priests and 2 nuns. So if there is a heaven, I can be a sea human and still make it to heaven.
Okay, one more in the past then, and then we do have to get to our studio audience. But I got a few more I got to get from him. When was the moment? I know, again, knowing you were funny to begin. You were funny young. But when did you think, okay, I really am going to pursue this? I'm going to make the break. Because you were poli-sci. I
was a poli-sci major. Here's how it happened. So
Yeah.
I was a poli-sci major, and we were doing the administrative classes in the 3rd year, and I was like, this is boring. I hate this. None of this.
Yeah.
So I quit going to my classes. So I was academically ineligible.
Okay.
And then I went home.
Which solved some problems.
Which solved some problems for my dad.
Yeah.
Because he was like, great, I don't have to pay for anything you do ever again.
Nice.
Because my dad always
job.
said, at 18, you either go to college or move out or start paying rent. That was it.
Smart man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's true, so I go home and he goes, well, Dave, I don't know what you want to do, but you don't want to go to school. I was like, oh. And there was a lot of freedom there.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were going to yell at me.
Yeah, yeah.
So disappointed.
But you're an adult
But that was
now.
freedom. So
Yeah, you're an
he allowed me to buy the car that I was driving, which was his.
Nice.
And then I went and got 3 jobs in Columbia, Missouri,
Right.
and made money. I was still thinking, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I visited a friend up here in Chicago, went to the second city, saw that they taught classes, and went, that's how they do it.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that.
And then, now you moved to Chicago.
Well, I came up and took a 2-week players workshop course.
With
Martin.
Yeah.
And,
the intensive.
Yeah.
That is a life-changing experience.
And they put you up in a dorm room at DePaul.
Yeah.
And I will say then that gave me all the necessary confidence in the world. I was like, oh, this is.
Martin DeMott was a renowned teacher in improvisation. He worked for Josephine Forsberg at Players Workshop, where David studied, and Josephine was the assistant to Viola Spolin, who virtually created improvisation in theater form. And Martin, as David and I know, he is a person who would give you a hug that you'd feel for 2 weeks. He was an expert at the hokey pokey, and if he were here today, he would be doing the hokey pokey with all of us.
Yes.
How about Dell then? How did you get to Dell?
Well, so I saved my money. I knew I was on the right track. I saved my money. I moved up here. I was going to take classes at the second city. Then I read in the Tribune, the art section on Sunday, about this cat named Del Close and Sharna Halpern and how they were going to do a television show. And I thought, shit, man, that's where I should go.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on that show. But it was very fortuitous because I started taking classes there first.
Yeah.
And then a few months later started taking classes simultaneously at the second city.
Yeah.
Now this is before there were 8 levels of everything.
Right. Right.
I mean, I don't even know how many levels there are anymore.
There were 3 back then, and
Yeah,
I think
it was
I
just
was the advanced one.
Yeah, it was just 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
That's
that was
it.
That was it.
It wasn't. Well, the second city had 5. Sharna had 3.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
guys had 5, and that was it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through a bunch of.
Conservatory. And, lie detector tests. And I think there's a.
And then only certain people make it, so they keep the money wheel going.
Well, I've got one more to do, and then we're going to go to our Q&A in the audience. Hey, Steph, how are we doing on time here?
We're doing good.
Good? Okay. Well, then we're just going to keep rolling.
Before the Q&A.
Say again?
Break before the Q&A.
Okay. Then I will do one more. Okay, I got one more random bonus question, then we'll go to a short break, and then we'll go to Q&A. So here's a bonus random question number 2. Bonus points for the correct answer. What's the last book you read to your daughter?
Oh. You may know this already because my wife posted it on Twitter. It was Cinderella.
That was the story, but what was the name of the book?
Something Beauty Princess.
It was Delightful Tales.
Is that what it is?
Give him a hand. Hey, I have to tell you.
Did you get that off Twitter?
I followed Lee's.
Oh, of course.
I'm like,
my wife is very entertaining. You want to follow
Oh,
someone?
she's
Yes.
a hoot on Facebook.
Yes. But so my 3-year-old, I was leaving for work. She says, "Daddy, read me a book." I'm like,
Hey, but this, I want to tell that story just for a second before we break. Tell this story now. He's walking out the door. Huge busy day yesterday. He just came out of an enormous production day the day before. He's prepping for today, and he's got, 6 appearances today in advance of his show tomorrow night. So now I set up, now you tell the story. You're walking out the door.
Eve said, "Daddy, read me a book." And I'm like, I can't, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
And she said, "Read me a book." I'm like, okay. So.
He did it.
Yeah.
He stopped. He sat down, he put on a funny hat, funnier than that hat, and he read her a book. And again, I think in terms of balance, again, the thing about David that he won't tell you, because as hard as he works just as hard with his family and just as hard with the kids and the wife to make sure that the life is total, not just for him, but for them as well. This is the Business of Show. We're going to be back in about 900 seconds. Give me a hand. How about that? Hey, we're on break stuff. Am I broke? Hey, Paige, could you wave in the back? There it is. Paige is my assistant. Where were you 2 years ago, Paige?
Right here. Woo! That stuff. That stuff.
So there. So she's Paige, and this guy is the model for 20 years from now. She's the model for 2 years from now. Got it? And you just keep working it up. And listen, one thing about her, as matching and introduced her, she's as hardworking as he is. She works her butt off. How much time do we have?
How much time left?
I don't want to wait too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember you guys.
Are you guys ready?
We're ready to go.
Yeah, we are giving you time. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Business of Show, and this is the time when we go to the criminals who've been sent here from various penitentiaries around the area. I think that's right, and we're going to get...
It's great what you do, the work you do with these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We bring them here. We don't come to you. We bring the prisoners here. So we do have time for questions. We're going to ask you to come up to this microphone here to ask your question, and we're going to take the first one now. So get up here, somebody, real quick. And if you don't have one, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask. No, I'm going to just let you go. Yeah. Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. What question do you have for David?
Hi. I was wondering, you were mentioning SNL, and that is one of my biggest goals. I would love to go to SNL and work with all those people. So going there, what would you recommend as a newbie, just adjusting to being on stage in front of people, and the type of attitude or drive you should have while you're there?
Just do more. You have to do...
Where, though, David? Where
Where
would you send him?
Everywhere. You're in
So
Chicago.
IO
Well, yeah. I mean, figure out what class you want to take.
Yeah.
It's tough now because they make you go through so many levels.
Right.
Which...
But you do a little, I mean, if you're you do a little of everything. You do
Yeah, I would do everything.
annoyance, IO.
Yeah, I would audit everything first. Certainly they'll let you audit.
Great.
I would audit everywhere first, and then see where you want to take classes. But always be in class. I would also take acting classes. Always be in
We'll sit
class.
you down.
Always be on stage.
Now, but back to your days, somebody else, if you want to get up there, I'm going to ask David a question in the middle,
Yeah.
and you guys load up there. But you studied.
I was lucky because
Where'd you study?
The IO
Right.
and Second City at the same time.
Right.
But the good thing, so when I was there, I was on stage probably 5 nights a week.
Right.
Either in class or performing. I was here at a time when you didn't have all these levels.
Yeah.
And Charna needed performers.
Right.
So I was on a team in 3 months.
Yeah.
I was doing the show twice a week in 3 months, where now it takes how many years?
Right.
So
Still, though,
I wouldn't put up with that.
Get-
But also,
work everywhere.
There's also the thing of you don't have to go by anybody else's steps. You can create your own. If you're the undeniable performer that everybody must see, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would choose anywhere that a stage will have you. I would do stand-up. I would do improvisation. I'd act, audition for plays. Always be writing. Always be reading.
you got it.
Always.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah.
Do we have another question here?
Yes,
Hi. Welcome. You guys can line up here if you're ready. Are we lined up?
Okay.
People are lined up. Good. We appreciate it. Thank you. Hi.
I
Welcome.
was wondering, what's your worst experience you've ever had on set?
On set?
beside today.
Yeah.
A different day than this.
Worst experience on set. Why do you want to know?
Curious.
Just gossip?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to name any names. So
Did you have, but how about a
worst experience on set was
performance meltdown from yourself?
well,
where
as a
you
director that didn't know where to put the camera.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
He'd say, well, yeah, you'll come over here, you'll do the thing. And I said, okay, well, where the camera's going to be?
Yeah.
Because that's important. Like, I know where do I act over here, over there, or here? And he goes, just where you want to do it. I'm like, where are you going to put the cameras? What's wrong? I need to know where you're going to put the camera. And so I'm a nice person, but it's like,
At some
someone
point,
take
yeah.
effing charge here.
Yeah.
But that's not so bad. I can't think of anything really bad.
Can I relate?
But I've had more good experiences than bad.
Yeah, I'm going to say too. I'm going to ask you, and we'll segue to this for a second, just over, because David shared a while ago that you stepped into the role of Todd Packer on
Yes.
The Office.
Yeah.
Because you actually, I'm going to say he saved it, because they'd hired a guy who didn't work at all.
Apparently.
And then you came in. I thought that part was, I thought you were born to play the part.
Because
you know
I'm
what I mean?
obnoxious?
Well, but
No, I was
you're
in
so useful.
I was in Canada
Yeah.
shooting Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have 5 kids. And so they were casting that, and they only had 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And apparently they'd hired an actor and they were having trouble. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily the actor's fault. You know, maybe they had a ton of auditions and he was the best one that day and they thought it was going to work for what a lot.
just
There's a
didn't
lot
happen.
of reasons
Right.
something might not work.
Well, you guys have seen that, right? Even in your own casting, right?
And because, you know, just because you have friends that you'd love to give a job doesn't mean they're the right person for that job. There's some right person for every job. And so Steve said, how about Koechner? And so I got home the next week and they'd already started the next episode.
Yeah.
And so we went back and shot the Packer stuff then.
The reason I'm going to go back from a lecture point of view is one of the things that I find remarkable about David is his ability to work with so many different people, but to always get as much as he can get out of the moments that he has on camera. In improvisation, we talk about agreement. You agree to the moment. Well, David doesn't just agree to the moment, he heightens the moment. He pulls the agreement out of other people around him from a performer's point of view. He's literally amplifying not just what he's doing, but what they're doing as well. And the thing that struck me about Packer, especially when you work with Carell, is how fluid it is, how easy the moments are between you. And the moments, as you guys know from the show, are enormous moments. They're big and they're explosive moments, but it's so easy. It seems so natural for you two, you know, the way you work. I've always been, I mean, as much as I've seen you perform in your time, I'm always struck by that, how much you get out of it, but how much you pull out of other people around that as well. Hi, welcome, and thank you for dressing up.
Hey, no problem,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Hey, so my name's Peter Parker, and my question for you is, you mentioned that you did a lot of improvisation, and my question, I guess, is, do you utilize that improvisation in your work? How often? And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, here's the thing about improvisation. It's a tool. It's
absolutely.
one of your tools that you can apply when it's necessary. You're not always asked to improvise in a show, and more often than not, you're not going to be. But if you can get to a place where you're working on a script and you feel like you can improvise as that character, that's certainly going to be a plus because it's going to help you get inside of that. But I wouldn't spend my time doing that necessarily if I had just to act in a thing. I'd spend my time breaking the scene down, knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Now, if there's room for improvisation, which is rare actually, then you can utilize it, and I can do that because I've been doing it for a long time.
But today you're still brainstorming using improv
yeah.
as well.
Oh, me personally, yeah. So,
yeah.
like, if I'm doing stand-up, you're always going to find new things,
Right.
Because you're just up there. It's a great way to get and be comfortable on stage because you don't care. You know something's coming. You're never going to be stuck. Your brain's not going to die. It's just always going to be fertile. So you know, and it also helps you listen more.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
Say that again.
had to do- are you still beer shark micing?
I don't have time, and that's
Yeah,
one of the
it's-
reasons I went
yeah.
into stand-up because
Yeah,
that way
'cause
I
you
can
can't do it
always.
consistently.
I can go up any night. The other night, Monday and Tuesday, I went up 2 times on Monday and once on Tuesday, just because I could.
See, this is David now going to.
I went to 2
I.O. or?
No, doing stand-up.
Oh, okay.
A little smaller venues, just going up to do a set because
Right.
I knew I have a show this weekend.
For years, David was an integral part of Beer Shark Mice, one of the great improv groups in Chicago and then Los Angeles as well. Pat, Finn.
Pat Finn, Peter Holney, Mike Coleman, and Neil Flynn.
Yeah.
And then later Paul Valancourt.
Yeah, and Flynn being the tallest of the group
Yeah.
and the best long ball hitter. He really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's great.
I hate to
Yeah,
say that
yeah.
too, but listen, the point is, here's movie star guy, going out on Monday and Tuesday nights to work. Do you know what I mean? And they can't pay him enough to make it worth
Oh, they
anything.
don't pay you anything.
My point is, he might get a drink out of the deal, and he's still going up.
I got a drink ticket.
Knock wood.
Yeah.
That's more than he usually gets. Hi, welcome. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Willem. I'm a comedy major, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk to a professional and get some good feedback. I was wondering if I sing Skyrockets in Flight, would you add the booze to that?
No, I think you should probably spend your time right now asking me a question that's going to help you.
Fair enough. Definitely. Fair enough. I got this.
Yeah.
All right. So
See, he's yes-anding. Good
Yeah.
too.
I learned. But so yeah, after I'm going through the IO program, and I know you said there's a bunch of levels, and I know that. So if once you get through that, if you don't get on a Herald team, or if you do, and what would be the best next step after you've completed a program?
Don't
Through improv.
even allow it to be a possibility that you're not going to be on that team.
Yes.
So I don't think about what I'm going to do if I fail. Just don't fail.
There you go.
I'll be the best.
Yep.
So train like
Yeah.
Mayweather.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
be the best. So I don't know how many times a week you're going up. Get on stage. If you're not getting a concept, figure out why someone else that you think is good is doing it.
doing it.
What's going on there? How are they doing that? How can you employ what's happening? Because improvisation is very simple. Everyone tries to make it really hard. It's a conversation that you're going to keep going. So you don't have to overthink it. We're having a conversation right now, yes, kind of? One-sided.
I'm trying,
But
So
very cute.
just listen
Yeah.
and respond to what you just heard. You don't have to make anything up.
Yeah.
It's going off what that person said, not my premise that I'm just going to suddenly introduce into the
Yeah.
show. If you've got a great premise, then go write. That's great.
Awesome.
Keep writing.
I'm going to add to this too, and again, going back into David's history, if he wasn't in a show, he was developing a show with somebody else. If he wasn't improvising, he was putting a group together to go improvise. You know what I mean? So, again, the shark in the water, he never stops moving. I'm going to just check on our timing here. Stephanie, we were going, I think, a little bit over, but I'd like to do maybe one or two more questions, and then I'm going to go and wrap here. Is that okay?
Yep, that's all right.
And Leo says that's all right?
Yes, he says it's all right, not just me.
Leo is the god of my world right now, so very good. So we're gonna. Is that wrong?
I'll try and make my answers brief. Let's go
Yeah.
through as many people as possible.
Yeah, let's
Go.
do a couple more quick.
Speak fast.
Yeah.
So you've had such an interesting and varied career. I know you said you like to work a lot, but what is it that draws you to a specific role when you're reading scripts or whatever? What is it that draws you to
Work.
The money.
Not everybody in Hollywood gets a pile of offers that they get to pick and choose from. If you're that good, I would say I asked my agent one time, how many people in Hollywood can greenlight a movie? He said 10.
Yeah.
So that there aren't that many people with piles of scripts with choices. So more often than not with me, if there's a job that I can do, I'm going to do it. I've got 5 kids, and that's an economic reality.
Yeah. But the thing too with David is how much he makes the part his own once he gets it. How much he works on it and puts it in. Great. Who's our next question? We're going to do one more after this, and then we've got to.
You're so well known for doing all your comedies. What's the most stressful part about working on a comedy movie?
I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Really? There's nothing really that stressful about it?
Well, stress is only a creation of your mind. So that's up to you.
Was there ever really a stressful part or a role that you had to keep taking over and over again?
Yeah. How many takes? What's your worst number of takes in a?
It's probably going to be some. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I can't think of anything that I had to do so many takes. It was ridiculous.
Do you want mine?
Yeah.
64.
For what?
A television commercial. I had to deliver one line. I used to do commercials quite a lot. I was a kid actor, and I did a lot of commercials. And this director was he was sadistic. He just was like, no, it's not. He gave me the line reading. Can I give you the Penny Marshall one, though?
Yeah.
Can I get Penny Marshall? It was on my 5th callback for the baseball movie. And I couldn't get it down. And so Penny she's got headsets on, and she's in another room, and the casting director puts the headsets on me, and Penny says, "Joe, I want you to say it just like this. Hello, everybody, I'm here." So I'm like, "Penny, you want me to say it exactly like that?" She said, "Exactly like that." So I look at the camera, I go, "Hello, everybody, I'm here." I got fired that very moment. That was it. I'm done. That began and ended my movie career with Penny Marshall. So, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Koechner. I think you have one of the widest ranges of any actor.
Yeah.
Hannah Montana, 2.
Hannah Montana to Final
Piranha,
Destination.
3 double D. You're right.
Yeah.
And everything in between.
What gets you into the mindset of each character, and what are some roles that you would love to play one day?
The script. You got to read the script. All the answers are in the script if it's well written. If it's not, then you might have to make it up yourself. But it's right there in the script. That's what gets you in the mindset.
But you know, again, your work, I think when you see the script, you think of that as the beginning of your character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you got to bring yourself to it, but you got to, it helps if you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But is there something inside you? Is there a voice? Is there emotion? Do you walk it? Do you talk it? Are you?
Oh yeah, all of it.
You're on your feet.
Yeah. That's, because the trap, I think, for me and maybe other actors, is you try to start acting it right away.
Yeah.
You try to start taking it and going, you can't.
Right.
Why are you saying that? Right. That's the thing. Like, make your discoveries.
Yeah.
I read an interview that Philip Seymour Hoffman said that acting is like taking luggage up a staircase with your mind.
That's great.
So it's just
wonderful.
You've got to do
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go to our bonus round. These are the final bonus random question round of bonus questions. There are extra points for David if he gets the correct answer. Okay.
More water.
Yeah. So we're going to get ready. We'll wrap after this. Okay. Okay. So these are quick questions, David.
Right.
What would you change about yourself if you had to change one thing?
I'd have more patience.
Good. Name your first tour co-stage manager. Jackie?
No, I don't think it was Jackie Tucker, was it? It may have been. Yeah, I'll say Jackie Tucker.
Yes, it was. It was Jackie. Who makes you laugh?
All my friends. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, and my kids.
Good.
Yeah, so.
What was I give him a hand for that one. Said that one back. What was the least you ever got paid to work professionally in film or theater?
Well, the least in film, if there's a micro budget, so there's a SAG micro budget minimum. And I think it was on Dill Scallion, and it was $93 a day.
Nice.
And my manager took commission on it.
Hey, listen, $12 is $12, people. Okay, is Matt Dwyer as nice as he seems?
Yes, he's lovely. I love Matt Dwyer.
Boxers or briefs?
Boxer briefs, the like Under Armour.
Oh yeah, that's good. Coke? I've got them on right now. Coke, Pepsi, or other?
Well, Coke, but sugar's poison.
That's good, right? Joyce or Bernie?
Bernie.
Mac or cheese? You got to come up with something.
Cheese.
You're right. Okay. Who would win in a cage match, me or James Lipton?
You.
I have twice. I beat the crap out of him twice. Who's taller, you or Will Ferrell?
Will.
Who's the better dancer?
Will.
Liar. You are such a liar. He's a much better dancer.
Will's just magic. The guy is just magic.
Okay.
Did you see that mime thing he did on Fallon?
I missed that.
He was miming. He did his routine. He was a skater, but he was just wearing shoes. He's wearing like boxer shoes.
He is.
And he did this routine that was just beautiful.
But can I say too, the ensemble he's brought around him, I think the guys, they lift him too. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
They really do.
But it's But it's tough to top Farrell. There's magic there.
Okay.
The guy's.
Last question. Who was your favorite boss of all time?
Joe Keefe.
Yeah, give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. David Koechner. This has been the Business of Show. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all. Mwah. Dave Koechner. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Steph. We're out.